Okay, my name is Meralda. I'm the Addictions Counsellor at Viewpoint Recovery Centre in Boksburg, South Africa. This is my colleague.
I'm Johan, I'm the recovery coach at the centre.
I'm Soraya, I'm the psychologist at the centre. I'm Naveed and I'm a social worker.
Okay, today's topic is the dis-ease of addiction. There's this common fallacy that addicts and alcoholics are weak-willed people, or we have a moral deficiency. As a recovering addict myself, I do not have a moral deficiency, and I'm not weak. I suffer from the disease of addiction. There is a sense of dis-ease within myself about life on life's terms. So I'd like to invite my colleagues to give me their views on the disease of addiction.
Right. So for me as a recovering addict myself, and this disease thing used to be like a big problem for me, because like it implied that I was sick or something like that. Yet that dis-ease that Meralda talks about is more like the dis-ease of either having the drugs or not having the drugs. And that would cause me like a lot of pain, because my dis-ease of myself as a person and who I was caused me to use drugs excessively, and I would hurt myself in the process of doing that. And I think you can relate to this, about the lengths I would go to in order to get the drug. So that dis-ease of my body and my mind and everything like catapulted me into this being that I wasn't anymore. But that same dis-ease also catapulted me to come to change. Because if it wasn't for that disease, you know, then I wouldn't have changed my life, because that disease became just too uncomfortable to live with, to manage, to just push aside, to deny. It was just this constant thing. So this disease of addiction that we talk about is many things. It's not just one thing.
Yes. So I like that you bring up the disease factor and the dis-ease factor. A lot of the times when I sit in my first assessment of the addict, so we're talking about an alcoholic or drug addict, whatever it is, they suffer from the same disease. But you ask an alcoholic, what is in the bottle that pulls you to it? You say, as this inanimate object sits here, what calls you? Because it has no voice, it has no pull. You are the one who takes the money out of your pocket and goes to it. You are the one who decides that I will not fulfill my obligations at the end of this month just because I need to fulfill my desires. And at the end of this explanation that I give in the assessment, I get the answer, my happiness is. So I believe that the addict is very, very aware. The morals are there. It's the inability to change the situation.
Yes.
It is the overriding thing. Because a lot of the time the explanation is that I understand what I'm doing is wrong. I know that what I'm doing is hurting everybody that I love. I know that I'm hurting myself. Physically I can see myself change, but I just can't.
And like, I work with the families, so if you talk about the dis-ease, it translates into the family, because the family system is a unit, it's not just one person. And even if the family is very dysfunctional, everybody in the family still has a role to play, even if it's just to be like judgmental or angry. If that person disappears, the system is in dis-ease because something's missing. Something went wrong, it's gone.
Exactly.
And then to tell them that it's a disease makes them angry, because that's not an excuse to be missing from my life and my system. I need you there. And it's very difficult for them to understand the definition of disease specifically, because it sounds like an excuse, and it's not.
I think that we brought up a very important point now that I think a lot of people miss when we talk about addiction. Because addiction or alcoholism and stuff like that, it's almost like a name. Nobody wanted to go there.
Yeah.
But Naveed touched on the fact that it's a dis-ease within a family system.
Yes.
But what it is a dis-ease within our community.
That's
it's
right.
a dis-ease within society. Because of all these different things that come in. I mean, there's addiction to food, addiction to sex, addiction to gambling, like everything. I mean, you can basically be addicted to lip ice.
Yeah.
And I mean, people don't look at. So there's a disease called HIV. Okay, and lots of money will be pumped into it, and lots of stuff will be done, and there's all this awareness about it, and the socioeconomic effect will be taken into regard, and all these things would get done around it, which, I mean, I'm actually positive, so I know it's a big thing. Yet, a disease that's killing more people, that's destroying more things, that's doing more bad things into society, is looked as, no, let's not talk about that.
But I think it's because it's being misunderstood.
Yes.
Because it looks like you are willfully doing these things because there's so many wrong things.
Because of the morality that Morocco was speaking about, because it becomes a morality issue.
It's like if you chose to do this, you chose to break in and steal, you chose to hit your wife or whatever, but it's a choice and it's not, because the drug alters the way you see life and it takes over everything. And I don't agree with the fact that addicts aren't strong, because a weak person would not survive this. And it's wrong to put them in a box. Normal people don't want to be put in a box. Normal people don't want to be put in a box. Christians don't like being put in a box. Doctors don't like being put in a box. So why do you want an addict to fit into the mold that you're pushing them into? It's not fair.
The common thing here is behavior, because addiction is a behavioral disease. And this is where the main misconception is. These patterns that are identified in the steps and these things that have to be done compulsively, continuously, and that get obsessed about is where it all gets lost. Because society does not understand this. That the idea comes up, and from there, the habit is formed. And 1, 2, 3, your destiny is that you're a drug addict, and you will either die or come into recovery. It's as simple as that.
But I think it's actually not true that society doesn't understand where that comes from. Because everybody has that compulsive thing that they want to do and they want to do it now. Just because you chose drugs or medicine or alcohol to be that one thing you're compulsively addicted to doesn't mean that you're different from the rest. I mean, you can take something as simple as a chocolate. You're depressed, your life sucks, you go to school, you buy a chocolate, yay, everything's better. Buying a Slim Slab and eating that is not going to be the same as eating a Cadbury's chocolate.
It's the society and the morality issue of it.
Exactly.
Because somebody who is buying a chocolate at Spa is buying the chocolate.
There's
It's not a heroin and it's stealing the chocolate and selling it to the dealers.
So the society factor comes in because that is their wrong.
Yes.
This is okay for us.
Yeah.
And that is where the obsession and compulsion is misunderstood completely.
Yes.
After having listened to, sat with, spoken to hundreds of addicts over a period of time, there's one thing that I've heard each and every one of them say, including myself, is that for the longest time, I felt like I don't belong. I always felt like I was at the edge of whatever circle was being formed.
Yes.
Albeit family, school, I just felt like I didn't belong. But the minute I found a group of people that drank or drunk, I felt at home. And the same applies when I get into a meeting. I feel like I've come home. Somebody once called us misfits, but we fit very well.
I am a misfit.
When I get into a meeting, this group of misfits is where I fit in.
Yeah, that's beautiful.